I'm COVID positive, but I'm not positive about that.
Didn't look familiar to me. Oh, you're COVID positive? I'm kidding. I'll reveal later.
Hello and welcome to the Quackcast. I'm Ozone Ocean, and with me is Baines and Tart Serene.
Hello.
Hello. This week this is Quackcast number 597. Quite a large number. And we're going to talk about the subject of revelation. Revelation, revealing things. But not just Revelation in general, not the book of Revelation in the Bible. No, this is the idea of revealing stuff like in a story. So like the midpoint of a story towards the end, suddenly you reveal a bit of a mystery, not a main mystery, but you just reveal this thing that raises the stakes in the story. So, this is the identity of this damn mysterious killer, or this is the secret past of this character. Now, the stakes, just are ratcheted right up and the story kicks into high gear and everything just goes boom, boom, boom. So yeah, that's what we're talking about. That exact thing I've funneled this down. I've distilled it to its essence. So we don't even need to do the Quackcast. So that's that's it.
You did. That was well put.
You revealed all there is to reveal.
Too early. See, so that's something we can talk about. Doing the revelation too early. One other reveal. I have COVID, so I'm gonna be really sick when when I'm talking. So that's why I sound the way I do, because I've got frickin' COVID, SARS-CoV-2, COVID-19. I have it. Some bastard gave it to me, and I'm gonna give it to all you. No, I'm not gonna do that. I would not. So, all right, we're gonna give you the featured comic now. So, I in my terrible COVID state, I struggled through and did a feature this week, and it was bloody hard, let me tell you. It's called Hawk. It's not called Hawk. That's something else. I'm revealing stuff too early again, damn it. No, the featured comic is called Them Their Hills, and I'm going to talk about that now. Hello, I'm Ozone Ocean, and my feature for the week was Them The Hills. There's no overall story to review here. Them The Hills is a single-panel comedy comic. It's funny, surreal, irreverent, and clever. Full of anthropomorphic animals and clever jokes in the style of Gary Larson's Far Side. Not looking like that, but you know how Gary Larson's Far Side is single-panel jokes, and it has anthropomorphic creatures, and it's irreverent, and it's real, and makes jokes about all this stuff in a single panel. So, like that. It updates daily, so there's always something to read until it runs out. And so far it hasn't run out. Fantastic, so there's lots and lots to read. So you can really make this one of your regular comics to read, daily. Until it does. And even if it does run out, you can go back and read the ones that are already there daily, or all in one go, however you feel like. The art is heavily stylized. It's quite individual in its style too. It's all digital, grey and white rather than black and white, sort of grayscale, grey tones. There's always something to enjoy and laugh at here. And so there's so many of these one panel jokes, and if one of them doesn't appeal to you, or for two or three, there's always something that will, so just keep on going through, and you always find something to laugh at, like a Far Side, So it's good entertainment, newspaper style, enjoyment from it, if you remember back then when you read those single panel things in newspapers and stuff. So yeah, it's a good daily read, good comic. So this is by Aerobicides, also known as Mr. V, and it's rated E for everyone. So I hope you enjoy Them Dar Hills. Them Dar Hills. I hope you like that. It was a comic by the person who did it, Mr. V. Okay, I would have told you about that in the bloody the thing anyway. So, next up, we're talking about the featured music. Gummalus did a theme for us. It's the theme to Hawk and Flo Ice Cream Truck of Doom Part 1. So, Hawk and Flo. Flicker. Hyper velocity, turning and spinning, action and movement, techno, synth, keyboard, strings, snapping drums, moving faster than thought. So, take it away, Gummalus, with Hawk and Flo Adventures. And that was the featured music, Hawk and Flo Adventures, which is a great little comic by a person called Hawk and Flo Adventures. And Gummalus, thank you very much for that comic. It's rated E, so give it a little check out and see if you like it. See if it matches up to the promise of the music. Which I think Gummalus' stuff, it normally does. He's a real talent. Okay, so the Revelations stuff. Well, this was a news post, Baines, you did for this, like, a week ago now. A bit over a week ago. And you gave the example of various newspaper clips. So, like the newspaper Revelation is a good kind of example of a story where you have a big story stuff going on, and then suddenly, look at all these newspaper clippings. This character has this stuff to their personality that I never knew about. Oh my god, the stakes have suddenly been raised. So what were the examples you gave? Was it Misery or...
Yeah, it just popped into my head, and I'm like, I feel like I see this a lot. But I thought of the wall of newspaper clippings in this movie Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Love that film. So funny.
Classic. It's so funny. Yeah, it's really good. And it's a cabin in the woods, and the wall has all these newspaper clippings about these deaths. Pardon me, about these deaths over the decades. And it's like, oh, we can see the whole history here on the wall. And then a very similar scene in the movie Misery, which is great. And Annie Wilkes kept a scrapbook, again, with the years of her history of awful things. Like, oh.
It? They did this in It?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So that's a famous thing. Yeah, like I haven't seen the latest movie, but it was in the miniseries.
Me neither. Yeah, and in that one, it's Mike. I like that TV miniseries. It's got a special place in my heart. Definitely the stuff with the kids and like the actors are good, I think. But yeah, it's like one of the kids, Mike, I think, put together the scrapbook because that's his passion. It's like archiving and history and all that kind of stuff. So he creates this scrapbook, I think, of the history of the town and all this awful stuff that's happened. And they get to flip through the scrapbook and give this like kind of historical dimension to the critter.
Yeah, it's like it widens. It widens the whole scope of everything. Now, no longer are they just facing like this monster that's affected their lives. Suddenly there is, hang on, this thing has been doing this for decades.
Yeah, it's a great way to make it larger, like in a way that a novel, like obviously a novel can do this kind of thing. This is the filmic version of getting that backstory. So it's good stuff.
Or in old tiny libraries, when the main character or the detective goes to the microfilm section, and they find all these old newspapers that finally give the answer to whatever it is.
Yeah. in the microfilm.
That's out in horror movies, right? Like it could be anything. Yeah, legal thriller.
Usually a little too late, like just a little too late for it to be super useful for the character. So.
Yeah, that's one of the things, because it's not necessarily a useful thing when they find this information, but it raises stakes and it shows this, it increases the scope, and it makes things even more dire. And that's the thing. It's like it's too late to be useful because the stuff is already well underway usually. But it shows, oh my god, this goes all the way to the top. It's
exactly.
The scope of the thing.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but they must have a scene like that or 50 scenes like that.
Yeah, the scope of the thing I'm facing is massive, so it's like uncovering the fullness of an iceberg. Suddenly, in the revelation, what you see is it's huge. So now I have to run up. So that's why it's better to have this in the middle of the story. Because if you have it too close to the end, it can seem insurmountable. And if you're going to surmount something that's really huge at the end, then it's a bit of a letdown because, like, Deus Ex Machina or whatever that phrase is, like, oh my god, this revelation is huge! But no, I've just destroyed it and overcome it anyway, so that's not exciting.
Usually in K-dramas, in Korean dramas, that kind of revelation, like, these dramas are usually 16 episodes long or like 24 episodes long. They are mini-series in a sense. So the reveal usually comes at around episode 9 and 10, usually. And so you have 6 more episodes of this thing being basically insurmountable, and you can expect it to be resolved in the last, like, 2 episodes or something. So you have four episodes of, oh my god, everyone is getting scragged. And sorry, excuse the dogs, they are still puppies, so I'm so sorry. And then you have like the final showdown, which is usually very unequal in terms of what the 2 adversaries bring to the table, and
okay, and that's a pretty standard structure for a lot of, like, anime as well. They have, like you say, I can't remember the exact amount of episodes, but it's pretty similar. It's either that. How many did you say for the K-drama?
At around the episodes, around 16 to 24.
So anime is often has a similar kind of thing to that, and if it's a short one, then the reveal happens like I don't know, maybe in like episode 6 or something, or if it's a long one, then episode 19, whatever, and then we have the scragging, and then finishing off. But I think even in the long ones, they have a midpoint reveal as well, and so they have a midpoint reveal, then that ratchets up the tension. We have a chance to kind of surmount that, and then we have another reveal at the near towards the end. So it's a pretty standard thing in those Asian cinema, I suppose.
Yeah, the midway reveal, I would say. Oh, sorry, Baines.
No, go ahead.
The midway reveal usually is like the main character actually starting to get a wind of what is really happening. Like they have been disoriented, waylaid, pulled, or whatever up until the midway, but slowly things are coming together to clue them in that, okay, this is like your status quo is a lie, so now you have to start looking into what is making your original concept of the things you are dealing with crumble, and then you go up to the end of Act 2 reveal in a sense. So.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So
More than I thought. There was a big real estate, blah, 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 or whatever, at the midpoint. And then you have the really devastating one at the end of
yeah.
Act 2. Yeah.
So you have a stepping stone structure. You know, your graph gets higher and higher and higher as we go. Yeah. So what have been some of your more favorite revelations and things? We've talked about it and the evil thing, which I like, but I can't remember the name, and Misery. So what are some other favorite reveal stuff you've seen recently you can name?
Oh boy, recently.
Because not everything does a reveal. This is not like
No, it's not always. Yeah, it doesn't belong in every story.
It doesn't have to be recent. It can be just another good example. Okay,
I don't know if it holds up because I saw it so long ago, but I think it's well regarded now after the fact. Would be this movie called The Game with Michael Douglas.
Oh yeah, that's a good movie. Is that David Fincher?
And there's a moment that it just stays with me. It was so chilling in the lady's apartment involving a bookcase. And that's all I'll say. But if something is revealed, and it's chilling. Just the visual is just like, and everything that might represent is just like, I don't know, it just gives me goosebumps even years later thinking about it. So
I can't even remember that. Oh, it's been so long since I've seen the film, but yeah.
It's good. It's pretty good. It's maybe, I'm going to say, a touch unbelievable at the end. Just a touch. But I think it's got, like I said, I think it's well regarded now, all these years later.
It's a lot of fun. It's very clever. And
there was this other movie. It was Edward Norton's first movie called Primal Fear, which is kind of a legal thriller and a melodrama and a kind of a mystery thing. And it saves its reveal, which I was going to talk about as usually a negative thing, but it's kind of backloaded with some exposition, but I think it's done. Maybe you kind of see it coming, but it's done very well. It's performed and put together very well, where it's in the final minutes and the final maybe 1 or 2 minutes that it's revealed what's going on, what's really been going on. It's got a lot of pretty satisfying twists and great actors in it and stuff. Primal Fear, worth a look, I think. I hope. It's been a while there.
Yeah, with Edward Norton. He's amazing.
Yeah. He brings it there.
Well, one of the ones I remember, because I haven't been able to think about this one too hard, but one of the ones that's good was Unbreakable, which was bloody M. Night Shyamalan thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really late in the game reveal too. Like The Sixth Sense has its multiple revelations that are pretty great.
Oh,
yeah, Unbreakable.
So yeah, Unbreakable was a lot of fun because you have these characters you don't realize that. I can't talk about it because it's like it's a twist, isn't it? Like it'll ruin the movie for people. That's not
these
fair.
reveals usually are twists. Usually.
So how can I describe the reveal in Unbreakable?
You can say where it happens in the movie. It's very late, if I'm right about that, right?
Yeah, it is pretty late. But it just changes.
That can be a little dicey.
Oh, go on.
That can be a little dicey. Not about Unbreakable, but generally, like when the reveal is way back there, that can be a little tricky.
Well, in Unbreakable, it's not used to raise stakes. It's used to change because M. Night Shyamalan makes his whole thing about twists. So it's used to give a twist rather than to raise stakes, pretty much, I think. It's fair to say. So the stakes don't really increase. It just like turns things on its edge and changes your perspective on how you view the story. So it's used in a slightly different way. So there we are. That's a fair thing to say about it without spoiling it.
Yeah.
If I may add a K-drama, since
oh really, Tom?
Yeah, it's a horror story actually, a ghost story. Very Korean in its concept, like it draws on the Korean mythology more than anything. Although, and kudos to them, to the writers, it is very tightly intertwined with Catholicism as it is being practiced in
Korea.
South Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this ghost story is about this demonic entity, like a ghost, like a spirit sort of thing, that possesses you. It comes from the sea and it possesses you and makes you commit serial murders. And then you kill yourself.
Ooh.
In a very gruesome manner, which you see on camera, by the way. And this shaman and priest have to team up together to stop this spirit. However, the problem with this, and also a police officer, she's the lady of there is no romance in this, by the way. Yeah, I have to say that. She's the couple in the situation, and everyone has had background with this ghost. All three main characters, and they are very intertwined without knowing it. They meet just because they are after the same aggressor, and there are 3 reveals, and each one is worse than the next. Basically, this ghost is 3 steps ahead every single time until basically the final episode. Like, there is no feeling that, now we know how to beat it. It's like, oh, bleep, now we know why we couldn't beat it. In a sense, the reveals explain the stuff that is happening with this ghost that jumps from person to person. And that's another thing. You have to prevent it from finding a new host. But you also have to find who is the one that is its main anchor. And everyone is a suspect, and everyone is also above suspicion at the same time, which is amazing. I highly recommend it. It is called, in English, it is called The Guest. So,
oh, you might have mentioned this before.
I might have. It has an awesome soundtrack as well.
Okay.
Perfect.
The Guest. That sounds like a nasty person. So it's interesting.
And much respect in that the horror isn't so much in the gore, although there is gore as well. It is minimal and very strategically placed for maximum effect. It plays with your head a lot, and that's where the horror is. And I love that sort of thing. That's my kind of horror.
Yeah.
Psychological horror. Well, it's okay. Yeah, I get that. Reminds me of what you're saying, like in a way, something like The Thing. In that's more a biological rather than supernatural thing, but it jumps from host to host, and then if you get it, you're dead basically, and in a very gruesome, horrible way. And no one knows who's got it, and then they learn about what it is halfway through the film. Sorry, Ben?
No, just agreeing with you.
The Thing. Okay, so I recently watched Constantine with Keanu Reeves, which I was surprised he really did. He acted very well. Like you see him quite woodenly act in a lot of things, but wow, his portrayal was very good in that. And well, there's a reveal in that, like a number of small reveals. I think they get bigger and bigger, but as to the true nature of the issue that he's facing, but there's never like a really big reveal. They're kind of like smaller reveals about just like the full scope of the thing that he's facing. Because so Constantine is set up like it's going to be some sort of apocalypse kind of scenario, and he's trying to prevent that happening, like the Book of Revelation sort of thing happening, But it's a different version to the apocalypse from that, and he's trying to prevent it. But he discovers, this is how this apocalypse is going to happen, and how and the reason why this lady has been suffering all these ills, and the reason for this and the reason for that, and it's fairly well done because it's introduced rather gently, and there's a bit of a twist in the end about the true nature of the villain he's facing, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's not a bad film for its reveals. It's not a brilliant film, but it's fairly good as Christian horror films go. Christian fantasy horrors, which it pretty much is. I don't know if you guys have seen Constantine. All right, you have. No, you haven't, Baines. Well, it's not a bad film.
It is fun. It is a lot of stupid fun, in my opinion. And my only objection, that kind of objection, yes, is that you never see the side of God, which you should be able to see, since you see the side of the devil, and that it always is a bit like a gripe on my, you see the twisted angel that is basically the antagonist or the villain or whatever, but you never see the legit angels that should be out there as well, and would offer a lot in the stupid world that you see. So yeah, that was my only gripe. Everything else, I had a lot of fun with, especially the ascension scene towards the end. That was a lot of fun.
I mean, one of my gripes was the problem that, okay, so this is Christian mythology they've set up. It's their own version because, done for the movie, but it's Christian mythology based on Catholicism, and that's not the only version of Christian mythology that there is. And then this character, this frickin' angel character, is talking about, you could be like molesters or papists, and no, you can't say papists as being a bad thing, because that's what your whole mythology is based on. It's based on Catholicism. The word papist is a Protestant name for Catholics, because they hated them, but not because of their religion. They hated them because it's a political thing, because Great Britain.
And also,
oh god,
in Catholicism, exactly, and in Catholicism, you don't just get saved. I think that is more of a Protestant thing. It's not you can be a child molester and get out of jail free card. But on that note, I would say, guys, if you want Christian horror, come to Orthodox.
Yeah.
That's where the real horror lies, because there is no real hell. We are already in hell. So yeah.
Well, it might have had a bit of that influence, though, because the chief character's name is Constantine for a start, so that sort of predisposed it to a bit more orthodox, even though there's no orthodox priests or orthodox stuff in there. But there's that, and there's the fact that the world they're in is sort of hellish already. Is it more hellish
ground
than
zero?
It's meant to be neutral, but it's less neutral than it should be, like you said, because you don't really see the angel part except for in 2 instances. So,
and not even not the actual, for example, when I don't know why, you depict, the Antichrist, you depict the devil, you depict God. Where is Archangel Michael?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Got Gabriel, gotta have Michael.
Yeah, and Gabriel. Or if you want to be really horror oriented, where is Uriel? And where are all the other classes of angels that are super freaky? Where are those? So yeah. But yeah, I might, if I ever get the chance, I really want at some point to make a Christian horror sort of story based on the strictly orthodox cosmology. And well, for me, it's not mythology. I actually do believe in the orthodox approach in certain ways. But anyway, I would like to do that super concretely and show you this is how you do Christian horror.
Oh, neat. Yeah.
Yeah, Baines, you mentioned supernatural, so that's something that sort of takes this mythology and turns it into a whole genre, doesn't it?
It's a fully built world. Say the first maybe 5 seasons or a little bit more, and all those cats show up, Michael and Uriel. And I don't know if Tans would be a fan of it. It's hard for me to say, but by name at least they're in there, and they're scary. They're not helpful.
The point is, though, if you are going to do angels, you don't really need to have evil angels because you have demons. You don't really need to reverse that because angels are frightening us. They are terrifying creatures. Although they help you still need to change your pants afterwards after being helped by an angel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and that's not like the Old Testament. That's in the New Testament. That's why the Virgin Mary is so terrified when Gabriel appears, blah blah, because he they don't appear as in a Botticelli painting. That's what I'm trying to say. So
yeah.
So there we are. We have gone into the Book of Revelations. In the end, that's the revelation of the Quackcast.
Right.
That's the revelation. And now the world is gonna end. Oh dear. All right, let's get back on track of revelations in various things. Okay, Tans, you know you already brought up the guest, and Baines. You brought up a couple the game. And then I brought up Constantine, didn't I? I can't think of right now of anything else that has a really good revelation as part of it. Not because it's not uncommon, it's just because it's hard to think on your feet with that kind of stuff, to have recall. I wonder if I've done a revelation in my comics, maybe. I mean, we did do a huge revelation in Bottomless Waitress, but that was more of a climactic revelation, which is a bit different.
Yeah, the cliffhanger.
Yeah. That's a slightly different thing because it's not revealing the scope of something that the characters have to face. It's more ta-da! Shock! Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did one in one issue of Typical Strange, where it's kind of a mystery, and it's a very low stakes mystery. It seems some beloved VHS tapes missing, so the guys go searching for it, and it seems to be this kind of conspiracy, and then the unmasking is this either a side character or a character who's only been mentioned. So I was careful to mention that character and set him up earlier and dismiss the idea. So there'd be some clue of like who this guy is. It wouldn't be Mrs. Voorhees' problem. And it's hailed by critics everywhere. This no.
All right, I remember a big revelation in a film just now. Okay, what was it? The Eternals. So the Eternals. This was seen as a bit of a flop by a lot of people for good reason. This was a one of the Marvel films, like they call it second tier Marvel film, something like that. So this is not one of the main Marvel films, the Avengers or whatever. It's one of the later ones. And in it, the whole story is about, okay, there's these guys called the Eternals, whatever, they're like superheroes, but really what they did was that they're like gods, and they helped found civilization on the earth and guide it towards enlightenment, and they're all over the world, and they have to kill off these horrible monsters that are killing people in order to let humans flourish on the earth and advance, and they're these immortal people. So yeah, that's the thing. But while doing so, we have like a couple of mysteries that build up, and they're quite big mysteries in the story, and they get so there's two big mysteries. One of them just gets totally, absolutely revealed halfway through the film and just cuts tension like flum. Like tension was building up, ratcheting up, and the revelation just chops through it like a knife through a hard piece of rope and leaves the rest flopping away with nothing else to do. And so the purpose of a revelation is usually to reveal the true stakes of what's happening and to ratchet up tension. This has the opposite effect.
Yes, well said.
Yeah. Exactly. This mystery wasn't as big after all anyway. Here it is, all revealed, blah, deal with it. So then it's a bit boring because now we know the real secret of the mystery. So then we're off to the next revelation, and the next revelation again. So it kind of cuts tension. So it's I don't know if it's bad writing so much as bad editing. I'm not sure. It could be a whole mix of things, but in the end, it's a bad product. So yeah, it's a good.
Yeah.
Bad.
Just things. Yeah, just not emphasized too much or not emphasized enough. It's tricky, I think, to really make it work.
Yeah.
And Tans, so you bring up The Usual Suspects, which is that the film you're referencing, right? The Usual Suspects.
Yeah, she did. I think she muted for the dogs.
Oh.
But The Usual Suspects, of course, for a while there. I don't know if people remember now. I'm not sure, but it was huge. It was an explosive revelation at the very end, the final couple minutes, where everything comes together, and it's and that ripples back through the whole movie. And you're like, oh my god!
That was good, yeah. So it's in the M. Night Shyamalan mode in that the reveal changes your perspective on what you've already seen, and you see everything in a different way.
Yeah,
which is quite clever.
I am your mold in a way.
The others does this excellently. I still think this movie has stayed in my mind as one of the most artistically done, masterfully done reveals. I'm not going to spoil it, although it's a very old movie by now. And it is a haunting story. It's about this family that starts getting ghosts, and they have to deal with that. and it is extremely frightening because things don't add up, and you cannot really understand what is going on. It feels super freaky. Stuff is happening at all times, and then the reveal happens, like maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes before the end or something like that, maybe a little more, and then everything falls into place. Everything makes sense now. Every single thing you have seen, and the tension is cut because you are not afraid anymore. That's the point. But then it starts building again, not because you are afraid, there is no mystery anymore, but it is because you realize that you watched basically an origin story of a specific situation that I just don't want to spoil. Yeah. And I think it's done the best I have ever seen, that kind of thing. And on the rewatch, it is super enjoyable because you just see the things that scared you before. Now you know exactly what's happening, and it turns into a different movie, but it's very watchable again. It's not boring, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I missed you saying the name. You're talking about The Others, right?
Yeah, with Nicole Kidman.
Yeah. Very well done.
Oh, yes, The Others. Yeah, I know the twist in that one. Yeah, that's clever.
She's actually a guy. That's the twist. I spoiled it.
That's always the twist.
Damn it, Baines.
Pardon?
Damn it, I said I tried to keep it under wraps and you just revealed it.
I just couldn't. I open everything on Christmas Eve. Yeah. I just can't. I have no discipline.
That dong flops out and it changes our
Yeah, a Christmas for that fella. I've never seen that movie. I won't reveal what movie we're talking about, but it was one of the Police Academy films.
God. This gets worse and worse.
Where I get that from, I don't know, but
yeah. It's a crying shame about the crying game. Oh dear. Yeah. So it's not just about twists, but reveals can be twists, and that's how twists can work, by changing your perspective on things, and it's really clever when they do that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of different ways to use reveals. That it's not just, the one kind of way to do it, like ratcheting up tension and sticking stuff into changing into top gear. It can be, like we're saying, it can change your perspective on what you've already seen and turn stuff into a totally different it's like doubles the value of what you've just seen with those kind of twists.
Right. So two kind of different things. Like we have the newspaper clipping reveal that maybe reveals a dimension to things that were never in the movie and had no place in the movie until now, where we're getting a backstory and everything. And then you have the type that puts everything in what we just watched, the series or whatever, into a new context.
Yeah. I don't know if there are any other versions of reveals, but I suppose there are.
Can I add one more that just came to mind? That's a Netflix mini-series. It is a French one, highly recommended. It's called Lamont, and it is about this serial killer woman who is basically brought out of jail to help with a series of murders that are copycat murders of her victims. Someone is copying exactly what she had done before she was caught. So they bring her out, quote unquote, to her. And her son is the detective, and he hates her because, of course, she's a serial killer and everything. And there is an amazing reveal. Maybe in the second to last episode, or
towards the
just
end.
really late. Yeah, towards the end, where you realize that because she appears and she's a very cold woman and extremely intelligent. Like she puts Hannibal Lecter to shame, in my opinion. Like she is the female of the species, and but in the end, you realize her motive, and that it was not senseless what she did, and how she did it, and why she did it, and with what, like, and the method, everything, and you see her in a totally different light, and it's just beautifully done, and that's the only when this reveal happens, because she didn't want this reveal. That's the only time when you see her actually emote. And the props to the actress as well. And I'm not going to spoil it. But please, if you have Netflix, look for it and see it. If you like crime dramas, thrillers.
It sounds cool. I think I might have heard of it, but what was the title again?
It is Lamont. I'm going to type it out because friends.
Like praying mantis.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember. I've seen that one. Though there is a scene. I'm not going to reveal it on the Quackcast, but I just found it so funny, and I couldn't stop laughing. But that's just me with films, and you probably don't know which one I'm talking about, but it's so funny, and it would spoil things if I mention on the Quackcast. So. Oh dear. But yeah, it is a very good film. But is that a different kind of revelation? I suppose it is, because that's not a twist. It doesn't. I suppose it. Let's see. It is a bit of a twist.
It is a bit like a 60-40 twist, because it is relevant to the plot. It's just not something that is super vital, in the sense that you can solve the case without this piece of information, but it wouldn't be completely solved, in a sense.
Okay, so it is a third kind of a use for revelation, because it enriches the story for you. So rather than ratcheting it up for the characters, or or changing your perspective on things, or increasing the strength of the climax, this just adds a layer of extra stuff for the audience to be like enriched by. It doesn't like change your perspective on everything that went before. It just goes, this is a more satisfying kind of conclusion than what it would normally be without it. So there we are. That's another kind of use for revelation. We've got 3 so far.
That can be a nice. I don't know if this doesn't exactly apply. I don't know. I haven't seen this movie, or series, but it sounds good. I'm going to look for it. The La Manta. But it reminds me of some episodes of legal dramas and some legal thrillers like Primal Fear that I mentioned, where the mystery is solved legally, and then after we get the legal answer. And it also is the structure of the first 3 books of the Robots series by Isaac Asimov. You solve the case and it's legit, but there's another answer saved for the very end of what was really going on. And it's pretty cool. It works in all 3 books, especially the 3rd.
Okay.
One of the most mind-blowing final page things, and I flipped ahead when I was reading it, to my shame. But they're neat on that level, where you actually, like I said, the case officially is solved, but there's more that only 1 or 2 characters and the reader gets to be privy to. Kind of cool.
Okay. Well, I suppose this is what, like, in a way, the Marvel movies do with their after credit scenes.
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, you've seen those films, and that's a kind of that's a revelation, definitely. And those revelations, instead of like, what do? They kind of go, but there's more. They make you hope for extra stuff.
Yes.
Or they can be like, they are an Easter egg reveal, I suppose you'd call those.
Yeah, Spider-Man will return in blah blah blah.
I remember like the whole big thing, when what was it? At the end of Iron Man, or maybe it was Captain America. Like the big reveal was, and they're digging up Thor's hammer at the end of it. And so the audience was like, because back then you didn't know there were going to be all these other Marvel films. So back then the audience would be going, oh my god, oh wow, oh my god, I'm glad I sat through to the end to see what, next massive big budget movie is coming up in like 3 or 4 years time, or 2 years time. Wow, because then it was a big thing, because now it's just like, oh, okay, another Marvel thing, seriously? Like, whatever.
A reveal badly done, though. That shouldn't have happened, in my opinion. Again, sorry. And every time I try to talk, that's when they start barking. Like, all the time I'm muted, they are quiet. 1 second.
Because they're competing with Mum.
Yeah, must be.
They're trying to talk as well.
Yeah, sure. No, I don't know. It's bad timing. Anyway, so it is in the death of Superman. I don't remember which movie that was, DC, where they have the death of Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the end, and I'm going to spoil it because it doesn't deserve to be protected. And like after everything is said and done, they have done the burial, they have done, everything. The dirt is starting to levitate upwards. Like, he is about to come back, like, no shit. The point was to leave the suspense whether you were going to leave him dead for a couple of movies or not. That was the whole thing.
Wow.
So, yeah.
It's like, no, we can't risk it with the audience. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, well, that's why typically DC superhero films are not so good. They have the Star Wars problem of getting shit writers.
Yeah, something's going on, and there are reams of theories and thoughts on that for sure. Someday maybe we'll see books if I'm still alive to see it. It'll be like, okay, now we can say what was really going on, because those powerful people are all retired or whatever.
Behind the scenes, we'll get a revelation. Exactly, Baines. Well, on that, we'll
keeping a scrapbook in a cabin in the woods. Someone will find it. All the memos.
Yeah, just like with the strings between everything. Like you need little red wool. All right. Well, with that, we should wrap this up, I suppose, because Google's just gonna cut us all off. And Tance needs to see her athletics championships.
Yes.
Nice, enjoy it.
And I need to go back to my sick bed, and Baines, you need to enjoy your Saturday. Beautiful.
Yeah, dude, I'm sick too. I'll reveal that now at the end. Like, why would anyone care? But yeah. I'm not well. I'm very chilly. Yeah, I just gotta go to bed.
No. Revelation,
Yeah.
I gave Baines COVID through the Quackcast.
Oh, no.
Computer virus. Damn it, Oz.
It has mutated again into digital COVID.
Yeah. All my orange fur is falling out.
Damn it. We're going to have a bald Baines.
Maybe it's just cold. We'll turn up the heat. See if that helps.
You're in Canada.
Anyway, that's a whole other kettle of worms. Yeah.
A kettle of worms. Alright, so it's meant to be a kettle of fish, Baines. You put the bait in the kettle. Damn it. You meant to put the fish in there.
I let the cat out of the box, didn't I, on that one? Stop it. Okay. Thanks, everybody. If you're
Thank
still
you.
recording. Bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye. Have a good time. Don't get COVID like I did. Wear your frickin' masks. Okay? Please.
Hey.
Alright. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.